1. I live in the capital city of a U.S. state. Every summer, the city hosts the annual State Fair, which features the usual state and county fair stuff, i.e. rides, booths, fried foods, displays from all over the state, etc. Part of this included various live entertainment shows which ranged from small local bands and acts playing on small stages in the food court, to bigger music stars taking an outdoor main stage. These included old classic rockers, 90s alternative bands, cover bands, Christian groups, and country acts. Seating included ticketed seats in the front 1500, seat first come, first served seating, and in the back 1500. These people would need a wristband in order to come in order to be allowed access, and had to remain in the area and whatever seat they had chosen. My best friend's mom, Linda, had worked the main stage at the fair for a couple of decades at this point. It's something she does every year simply because she likes it. I don't personally understand it, but she's a grown-up, she can do what she wants. A couple of years ago, she reached out to me asking if I was interested in helping her out for the 2-week run of the fair. I wasn't all that interested, but needed the job and said yes. The job itself wasn't too bad. It involved keeping the seating area clean and organized primarily, and helping out security staff to keep everyone safe and calm. One important note: I worked for the venue, not the artist. I was very specifically told by Linda and her bosses that I was not to talk to the band or anyone connected with the band unless they spoke to me. So one night a country singer, Johnny, was performing. Johnny was a big enough name in the country scene. I saw him listed in the Grand Ole Opry in Nashville not long after this. That he attracted quite a large crowd. All the tickets had been sold, all the free seats had been claimed, and the area outside the seating was filled with people standing and watching. By all accounts, everyone was having a good time. Johnny put on a good show, and despite a more rowdy crowd, nothing too major happened. At the end of the show, I was with Linda as we moved through the seats, clearing out the last remaining stragglers. One of these was a woman, probably in her mid-40s, wearing a black vest over a green skirt, key detail, denim shorts, not Daisy Dukes, black tights and boots, and short hair. Despite the description, she wasn't a Karen, at least not with me, so I'll call her Penny. Penny was standing in front of the ticketed section of the seating area, and saw me walking toward her.
"Hey, can you take me backstage to meet Johnny?"
"Do you have a pass?" "No." "Then no. Please?" "No, I can't. I could lose my job over this." It's about this time another guy has drawn my attention. He asks the same thing. "No." "Oh." He leaves. Penny's not taking OG's hint.
"Well, can't you just talk to Johnny?"
"No, I can't do that. I've literally been told I'm not allowed to."
"Well, can't you ask someone in the band?"
"I can't do that."
"What about his manager?"
"No, I can't do that." This continues for a little bit in this fashion as she follows me out of the venue toward the entrance to the backstage area. Eventually, the conversation goes like this.
"Listen, can you just talk to his manager and say the woman in the green shirt who stared at you all night would like to meet him?"
It's at this point that everything fully clicks into place and I realize what she's asking me to do. Naturally, I can't do that. And if I was given the opportunity to redo this conversation, I would probably have shut this down more forcefully, but I was tired and just wanted to go home at this point. "I'll see what I can do."
"Thank you."
"No promises." So as I leave her and head backstage, telling myself there's no way in hell I was going to do that, I went back, got my stuff, and told Linda about Penny.
"Green shirt?"
Yeah, I had to tell her to stop dancing in the aisle a few times. So I said my goodbyes to Linda, got my stuff, and headed out. As I leave backstage, who should I see waiting for me but Penny? She spots me and starts to follow me again.
"So what did he say?"
"Oh, he's gone. I didn't see him."
"What? Did he move on to his next city or something?"
"I guess." Penny stops and turns back. I don't. The last I saw of her, she was standing in front of a security guard. I don't know what she said or what her face looked like, and I never heard what happened afterwards. 2. So let me preface this by saying that I don't work in customer service. I have a technical computer job, and the social skills of my entire team combined probably almost add up to those of one normal person. And yes, I'm including myself in that number. So not only are we not supposed to talk to customers, but the company would actually prefer we stay as far away from them as possible. They even hide us in a dark corner away from everyone else, to avoid someone accidentally wandering into our cubicle block and having a confusing, awkward social experience. We generally don't talk to a lot of people outside of our team, and a few other teams that we all know really well. I'm not saying we were mean, just your usual quirky computer nerds. I do usually try to be helpful to people if I can be, as long as they show even the smallest bit of respect in return. I did have a phone assigned to me, but it was essentially vestigial, because no one had used phones to communicate with our team for years. They either walked over to talk to us, or they emailed or pinged us on the office messaging system. In all my time working for that company, I never had actually heard my phone ring up until that day. So when I heard a strange clanging sound, I actually looked around to try to figure out where it was coming from, before realizing it was being emitted from the dark, forgotten corner of my desk, where that useless phone was taking up space. I was so confused, because for the life of me I couldn't think of anyone who would actually call me. My co-workers looked over to see what was going on, and we exchanged perplexed looks. Tentatively, I picked it up. Hello? The man on the other end already sounded escalated, but like he was trying to keep it together at least a little.
You guys need to release the hold you have on my mother's estate. Right now.
This only added to my confusion because the company I worked for didn't deal in any way, shape, or form with real estate. Excuse me? I think you have the wrong number.
Is this?
Then he says my number. I'm even more confused now because I can't figure out why he'd have my number. Yes, but we don't deal in property. We don't put liens on people's estates. Maybe you copied the number for the place you're looking for down wrong.
I need to speak to Sally. Does she still work there?
I forget what name he actually said, so now she's dubbed Sally. No one by that name works here.
Listen, last time I spoke to you guys, I spoke to Sally, and she gave me this number. If she doesn't work there anymore, then I need to speak to someone who can release my mother's estate.
We've never had anyone named Sally here. Where exactly do you think you're calling?
You know where I'm calling. This is Fister and Pounder Associates, and I don't appreciate being jerked around.
It suddenly clicked for me what had happened. The company he named rents space in the same building that we do, but is a completely separate entity. In a twist of absolute bureaucratic nonsense, phone numbers are assigned by the building, not the companies that rent space there. When one number is no longer being used, the building reassigns it to the next person who needs it, even if they work in a completely different company. Because we'd recently expanded the amount of space we were renting, my team had been reassigned cubicle spots to give another team room to expand. This somehow had resulted in all of us getting assigned new phones and new phone numbers. And apparently I had gotten Sally's old number. I had remembered hearing from someone who did work at that company that they sometimes put liens on properties of people if they owed them a lot of money. I'm not sure exactly how this worked and why they were able to do that. I only vaguely remembered hearing about it in casual chit-chat quite a while ago. Naturally, I tried to explain to the man what I thought had happened. I figured once he understood the mix-up, he would realize his mistake, and just call the company he needed to speak to. Nope. He listened to about half my explanation, before just combusting into a new bout of senseless rage.
That makes no sense. If you have this number, you have to work for that company. So help me get this lien off my mother's estate.
In his defense, the way the building shuffled numbers around was objectively stupid. Something like this was inevitable if they were assigning numbers that had once belonged to one company to other companies. I completely understand why he was confused. What I didn't understand, however, was how stubborn and rude he was getting. I can't help you. You have to get hold of Fister and Pounder.
Just look my mother's name up in your database. You can see everything Sally wrote about our last conversation.
I don't have access to their database because I don't work for them. I can't look her up. The guy had a seething tone for some while now, and I'm pretty sure if he could punch me through the phone he would have. But he went worryingly quiet a moment, and I could practically hear the gears in his head grinding.
Do you work at...
Then he gave the address of the building. When he said the address, he didn't include the suite number, which is how you distinguish one company address from another. So technically, yes, I did work at the address he said. Yes, but
see?
His voice sounded like he just won the entitled douchebag lottery.
You do work there, so help me.
I was pretty irritated at this point, because if he'd been listening to me, he would understand that I didn't actually work for the company he was trying to get a hold of by now. I work in the same building, but I don't work for that company. This building hosts a lot of different companies. We're not connected. I can't help you. Not won't. Can't. This is when he went full Karen.
This is the worst customer service I've ever had. Let me talk to your manager.
No. I couldn't see him, but I was picturing him with a stunned Pikachu face just then.
No?
First, I have no obligation to work with this guy. He's not even a customer of our company, and even if he was, I have no responsibility to work with customers. In fact, my boss would consider it a massive waste of my time, and would get irritated if I did. Second, I was doing him a massive favor. My boss was a no-nonsense, tough-as-nails, no soft edges kind of a woman. Not at all known for being delicate with people's feelings. She would definitely have ripped him a new one, and may even have made him cry. She was good at that. Getting her involved would definitely have been a mistake. If anything, I was protecting him by not letting him talk to her, but of course he didn't get that.
What's your full name? I want to report you to corporate.
I was done with this bullcrap. There was literally nothing I could do to help him, and he's been rude to me from the start. Listen, if you had an issue with something you bought at Walmart, would you go to Target to solve the problem? Because that's the equivalent of what you're doing. You're going to the wrong company to fix your issue. I don't work at Fister and Pounder. I don't have access to their database. There's literally nothing I can do for you. Because you're speaking to the wrong company. I think the analogy helped, because he actually seemed to stop and think for a minute. I even got a little tickle of hope that maybe I'd gotten through to him.
Then give me the number for that other company.
Unfortunately, I don't have it. You'll have to look it up.
How?
It was my turn for the surprised Pikachu face. On the internet?
Look it up for me. If you do it, you'll be able to find a special direct line or something, right?
Google works the same for me as it does for you, sir. At this point, I hear a strangled hacking sign behind me, and turn to see my coworkers fighting back laughter to the point of tears. Wonderful. Thanks, guys. It was at this point this rude jerk seemed to have thought himself back out of the progress we'd made so far.
You can't just refuse to help me, or let me talk to your manager. You need to look up my mom in your database. If you hadn't tried to get out of helping me, we could be done by now.
I still don't work for Fister and Pounder.
That hasn't changed in the last couple of minutes.
He started to curse at me, curse my gender, and call me all sorts of foul names at that point. So I hung up on him. I have no time for jerks. If he'd been less of a bully, I might have Googled the company number for him. After all, I was sitting at a computer. But he chose to try and boss me around, belittle me, and to swear at me. So all he got was hung up on. Within seconds, though, the phone rang again, so I picked it up and hung up again. When it started ringing the next time, I hung up but left the receiver off the hook. That way he could call back to his little heart's content, and I didn't have to deal with his bullying tactics. After my colleagues got a good laugh out of the whole ordeal, we all went back to work. I quickly got locked up in a project for about an hour, and after finishing it, I felt like Rude Guy was probably done repeatedly speed-dialing my numbers, so I put the phone back. It rang immediately. My dude was determined. So I answered, hung up, and left my phone off the hook for the rest of the day. Just to be safe, I kept it off the hook for the whole rest of the next day as well. And thankfully, I didn't hear from the dude again. Hopefully, he figured out how to use Google to find the phone number he needed. After all, if he did, I feel bad for the other company. I like to imagine he had reported me to someone over there. only to be told that I do, in fact, not work for them. 3. This story takes place 6 months ago. I am on the janitorial team that was sanitizing our public school buildings during the cancellations last week. Monday, I arrived for my first day, and I was tackling an auditorium. It was no secret that schools were closed. It was on the news. There were signs on the doors. I think the city even sent a text alert about it to anyone signed up for municipal notifications. And the school absolutely sent emails. But as I'm beginning to clean with my cart and my janitorial uniform, a woman comes in with 2 kids, 5 and 7-ish. I say, "Hi, I'm sorry, the school is closed for the rest of the..."
Yeah, I know, but this is a daycare service, right?
"No, what? No, I'm just a member of the cleaning crew."
Well, where's the daycare?
What? I don't think there is one. We're sanitizing every room today. You could go to the office and ask, but I didn't see anyone in there. It's really just us.
Oh great, so you're in charge? I'll be back at 2:15, right?
I'm not in charge of anything. You'll need to go to the office, or probably go home, actually. I don't think there's any kind of service.
What are you talking about? They wouldn't just cancel school without a daycare service for working parents. Where's your boss?
My boss is also a janitor. Trust me, they cannot help you. Now at this point, the kids had begun to run around the gym, which meant I'd have to re-sanitize whatever they touched. So I said more firmly, "You need to go. I'm not supposed to let people in here during cleaning." At this point, I wasn't sure if she was messing with me or if she really didn't know. She seemed busy. She had a cell phone in one hand and no hands on the kids. Without looking up, she says,
"Well, you should have cleaned before the kids started to arrive, shouldn't you?"
I'm starting to wonder if I'm the crazy one at this point. There are no kids arriving. I'm cleaning. The school is closed.
I know, the school is closed. That's why I'm leaving them in the daycare.
And just like that, she was off. I called after her saying, "Hey, excuse me, lady, you cannot leave the kids in here." I didn't know what to do about it, so I took the kids to my boss and asked what we needed to do. The boss said,
"So they just left the kids here? Why didn't you tell her school was closed? Who doesn't know that by now?"
I explained that I did tell her, and she either was so checked out she didn't understand or she chose to ignore me.
"This is all way too risky. We can't keep an eye on them, and there are dangerous products, and who knows why she left them here. We don't need this problem. Better call whoever you call about kids with no one to watch them. Cops?"
We also had one of the janitors trying to get a name and number off the kids, but they didn't really know. But we did have a few undocumented immigrants on the crew, and a couple others who would have just gotten nervous to have cops buzzing around the workplace. So we Googled it and ended up calling a child services hotline. Ultimately, a social worker came, and with cops, but they didn't bother anyone though, just focused on the kids. The cops went through the kids' bags and found their last name on a school binder, and found a number to call. They got the kid's father, who was irate. They had the conversation on speakerphone, so I caught bits and pieces.
"What do you mean? They're where? Aren't the schools closed?"
And he was there within 10 minutes. I guess he called his wife for an explanation during that time because she arrived not too soon afterwards. The cops and social worker were lecturing him, and the woman was like,
"I left him with a childcare worker in the drop-off area."
And they reiterated there was no daycare and they had no idea what she was talking about. So at that point I thought, okay, I guess she's just really, really dumb. Then the cops let them go with a warning about understanding where they're leaving their kids and with whom. But as they were leaving, the woman sneered at my boss.
"Was it really such a big deal that you had to call the police?"
So now I wonder whether she was trying to pull a fast one on us or if she was just that stupid. The world may never know, but I still laugh at the story. 4. Several years back, while working for a local internet company in a large square-shaped state, I got a good deal of angry, pissed-off, irate, or otherwise absurd customers. Here's one that I was just reminded of that still makes me giggle. It's a nondescript evening working in the call center where I was the only level 2 tech support rep on the floor. As such, I had the pleasure of taking supervisor requests dealing with company accounts, as well as handling the few remaining web hosting customers our company had acquired through an acquisition. The last type of customer was rare. Their calls were usually grueling. The system we were using for the web hosting was draconian at best, and only a few people in our entire company were familiar with it. Lo and behold, this was the night that I had one fall in my lap. I pulled up the account from the phone number, saw it was a web hosting account, and braced for the impact. The following is an approximate transcript from the call. Thanks for calling Shitty Internet Company. This is Salsa Spade. How can I help you today?
Hey there, Ben. I need help with my website.
Mind you, my name isn't Ben, not even close. Customers routinely misheard us and really stuck to their guns with whatever name they thought they heard. Not a problem. Let's get in there and see what's going on. We verify the account details, blah blah blah. So what seems to be the problem?
Well, my website isn't where it should be.
I'm incredibly confused, thinking the system was messed up and it wasn't being directed properly. That's strange. When you go to the website, does anything pull up? I start digging into our system, and as far as I can tell, everything looks right.
When I search for it, it isn't where it should be. The website is fine, but it isn't where it should be.
Clearly something is getting confused here. Given I wasn't well versed on this kind of issue, I assumed the issue was on our end. Eventually I just go to the website in question and it pops up fine. I'm sorry, sir, I don't see there being any issues with your website. I'm able to navigate to it without any issues.
No, the website is fine, but it isn't on Google where it needs to be.
Wait, what?
Yeah, look, if you Google my website, it's on the second page. I need you to move it to the top result.
Another pause as my brain resets. Sir? That isn't something we control.
Look, I've been working on the internet for a long time. I just need you to move my website to the top of Google. I think you can do that.
Sir, that is controlled by search volume, I assumed. The results are generated by Google, not by your host.
Ugh, fine. So you're telling me that I need to call Google and have them move it?
Sir, that's not how it works. If I'm right, if more people search for your site and select it, it will get moved up in the search results. Or maybe if you changed your search criteria, that would make it higher.
Look, thanks. I appreciate your time, but I'm going to call Google to see if they can help me. Do you have a number for Google?
No, sir. No, I do not.
That's fine. I'll Google it.
Okay? They hang up. I have no malice towards the guy, as he was really polite, as I recall, but he just had no idea what he was doing and claimed to be an internet guy. Five. So I've had a friend since college who's a great guy. I love him to pieces. But I've occasionally considered ending the friendship because his wife is so jarringly dumb. For the life of me, I do not know what he gets from her. Okay, I do. She's one of the most beautiful women I've ever seen in real life, but even still, I don't know how he does it. She's sweet. She means well. But there are sandwiches more intellectually stimulating. A while back, I had a friend visiting, Camden, and she was dropping her kids by to hang out with mine. I invited her to stay for a bite to eat because, yes, she's exquisitely dumb, but she's perfectly friendly. Camden's been trying to break into acting, and he recently had a bit part on a TV medical drama. So I brought it up saying, Camden just recently had a small role as a doctor on this show. She went,
"Ah, that's so exciting. Congratulations. That must not be easy to get a job there. So what kind of doctor are you?"
And he explained,
"Oh, it was a very minor role. I didn't get a specialty or anything. I didn't even get a name."
And she laughed and went, "Well, we all feel that way when we first start, regardless of what job. Just keep working hard and you'll get all that stuff over time. But don't sell yourself short. It's not easy to be a doctor. And he took the compliment and went into how he went about playing the role, the body language he tried to adopt for the intensive care unit, that sort of stuff. Then she cut him off and went, "Actually, you know what? If you wouldn't mind, my son has actually had this oblong cyst developing on the small of his back for a couple weeks now. I'd really appreciate it if you would take a look." So we both laughed, thinking she was joking, and I was impressed with her uncharacteristically high-level joke. But then she actually started to call her son over. It's just like her to start a funny joke and then take it too far. Camden, confused and weirded out by the whole thing, started saying, "Oh no,
they didn't teach us any medical stuff for the part. I can't, help you with this."
I jumped in and changed the subject, but she left shortly after. I'd long since given up on trying to explain to her why some jokes are funny and others are not, so I thought I'd let it be, even though she seemed kind of miffed when she left. Later she came by to pick her kids up, and by then Camden had gone home. As she was leaving, she remarked, "You know, it was very rude of your friend not to at least look at my son's cyst. It would have taken him 10 seconds. I hate how doctors think they're above helping anyone unless they're getting a check. Didn't they take an oath to always help someone who needs medical advice or something?" So I processed the pure bitterness in her voice. I realized she genuinely and truly thought Camden was a medical doctor. So convinced I must be misunderstanding her, I further reiterated, No, he's an actor. He played a doctor on that show. You've seen the show. It's not a small production. It's like Grey's Anatomy or House. Everyone knows of it." And even angrier now, she said, "Of course I have. I know all about it. It's one of the best hospitals in the country. Why do you think they put it on TV? Being in the spot like that, you'd think you'd try to be a little more professional with people, that's all I'm saying." The surreal mix of entitlement and delusion in her statement left me dumbstruck, and I decided I must be misinterpreting this somehow, because there was no way any grown adult who votes, drives, works, and has kids of her own is that stupid. Not even her. So I just let her leave rather than risk offending her or embarrassing her. As soon as she was gone, I called my friend, her husband, to try and catch him before she was home. I relayed the whole series of events to him, and his response,
"Oh, that, yeah, is a problem. But it's not entirely her fault. Oftentimes these shows use stories ripped from the headlines of the actual news, you know? So you can see why she gets mixed up sometimes."
She bumped into Camden at my anniversary party not too long later, and asked him with genuine concern if a character on the show who'd been in an accident, again, on the show, was recovering well. He tried telling her in plainer terms,
"I don't work there. I'm not a doctor. I just played one that one time."
And she said she was sorry to hear he'd been let go, and where was he working now? So if you wonder how our country ended up where we are, know that she has a bachelor's degree from an accredited college, and holds a job with several subordinates and partial responsibility over our city's water supply. So advocate for education reform whenever you can, and enjoy these twilight years of the great American experiment. Other highlights of hers include remarking on how it's a sign that God loves America best because fireworks always happen on the 4th of July. She thought they were a natural phenomenon like the Northern Lights or volcanoes, stubbornly insisting on eating an actual rose, not icing, real, off a cake because if it's on the cake it must be edible, and calling poison control after taking baby aspirin because it is for babies, not adults. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Idiots in the Wild, number 24. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. My heavens, what a collection this week. Whew. We had the well-meaning misguided to the you almost feel bad for being mad that they're so dumb. You think, well, they're not harming anybody, but then you realize, not right now, they definitely could with that kind of determined ignorance, I guess is a good way to put it. I don't really have a problem with people being less ingenious, shall we say. But when you combine that with arrogance and ignorance, that's a very dangerous combination, which we've seen a great deal of. In recent years all over the world. Hopefully we have less of it in the world going forward. Okay, and with that, I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.